Here's today's reminder. Nothing is hidden from God. He sees and knows it all. Today's reflection is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 12, verses 1 to 7, and it has two parts. The first part talks about the temptation of being a hypocrite, and the second part talks about our true value in God's eyes. On hypocrisy, Jesus begins with an illustration of unleavened bread. He says, "Beware of the leaven that is hypocrisy." Now, unleavened bread is a bread that contains a raising agent, such as yeast. Given some time, the yeast does something to the dough. It spreads, it swells, and it sours the meal. Hypocrisy, when left unchecked, spreads in our hearts, makes us swell with pride, and sours our Christian life. Now take note that this gospel begins with Luke telling us that a multitude of people were waiting for Jesus. But Jesus began to speak first to his disciples. Jesus spoke first to those who were close to him, to those who were already following him. And he did this because even his disciples were perfectly capable of this hypocrisy. And so are you and me. The temptation of hypocrisy is often strongest to those who enjoy some measure of outward religious success. While hypocrisy is only concerned with what's pleasing in the eyes of man, real faithfulness is focused on what's pleasing in the eyes of God. Which brings us to the second part of this gospel. Our true value in God's eyes. See, nothing is hidden from God. We can be hypocrites in front of other men, but never before God. There's nothing concealed that will not be revealed, no secret that will not be known. Therefore, whatever you have said in the darkness will be heard in the light, and what you have whispered behind closed doors will be proclaimed on the housetops. God is, after all, a God of justice. When it is difficult, are you more inclined to honor man than to honor God? How this gospel ends with an assurance for those who remain faithful to the Lord, inside and out. He says, "Not one of them has escaped the notice of God. Not one of them is forgotten by God." He further says, "Even the hairs of your head have all been counted. Do not be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows." I'm sure you're listening right now because there's this desire in your heart to be pleasing before the Lord, to do your best for Him. It's not easy, but in humility, you can always ask for God's grace. Pray with me. From Psalm 19, verse 14, "May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen."